with sharks and barracudas, yeah. To make an honest daily bread. The farmer who's back breaking toil, working long and hard to till the topsoil, fighting the weather and destructive monkeys, and cradle larceny. The fishermen and farmers are really key for food security in this country. With little resources they accomplish the extraordinary. They are the true heroes, the ordinary heroes. Heaven knows they are our true heroes. When we look at the farmers, the evidence has shown they have worked to the bone to make blood out of stone. Crop infestation and disease is a struggle for survival. Yet the farmer continue to produce in spite of it all. The fishermen, on the other hand, risk their lives daily in a constant battle with the awesome power of the sea. These seafaring warriors continue to farm the ocean in spite of the threats from the effects of pollution. Our farmers and fishermen are really special people, working hard in sun and rain to put food on our table. The fishermen who brave dangerous waters, yes, to ensure the nation is fed.
Everything natural, everything agricultural. It's a beautiful show with DJ X-Ray and Yason. Banky in the building, 2020 Vision Radio, 102.1 FM, every Tuesday, 7 p.m. It's the girl, Kerry Lopez. And your love from me is unconditional. Your love for me is unconditional. Don't forget, everything agricultural show. DJ X-Ray, Yason, Banky, 2020 Vision Radio, 102.1 FM, every Tuesday. Kerry Lopez representing. Don't miss it.
Hey, this man Easy, inviting you to tune in to 2020 Vision Radio this Tuesday and every Tuesday night from 7 p.m. until 9 p.m. It's all about everything agriculture with the man Banky and Company alongside Yason Tafari. It's your weekly educational show on 2020 Vision Radio. Tune in. It's inspirational, educational, and you won't want to miss it. So 102.1 FM this Tuesday, every Tuesday night, 7 p.m. It's everything agriculture.
Yes, good evening and welcome to the Everything Agriculture Show. I'm your host Banky and my co-host Yason Tafari, all the way in California. This evening is the end of the month, so we've done this ganja reasoning. At the same time, we're supposed to have some indoor guests, Ras Oiroy, and also a guest on Zoom, Ras and Kofa. We'll be talking about our organic market going down at Gideon Force Farm, Kaya Market. So let's say good evening to the folks in the neighboring islands, St. Kitts and Nevis, Orly and Liamiga, as the indigenous ancestors then speaking the tongues of the ancestors. Good evening to the folks in Sabre, Statia, St. Martin, the U.S. Virgin Islands and Namibia. I greatly appreciate you guys tuning in. You could be doing anything else on this Tuesday evening, but you choose to listen to Everything Agriculture Show. So it shows that you have some interest within the environment and your food when you come to consumption and safety and stuff like that. So appreciate the guys over in Montserrat, Antigua, Dominica, St. Vincent and the Grenadines, the folks throughout the whole of the Caribbean, also the folks up in the diaspora, North America, Canada, folks over in Asia, also in Europe. We have folks in England. It's kind of late in the evening, in the morning, but they still decide to tune in because of that interest for the last 4 years. So really appreciate you guys tuning in, and all those who being a part of last year, being a part of the guests, and also the guests in the new year. Greatly appreciate you guys. Also, we have some students over in Costa Rica who just graduated. Just want to big up Blossom. That's Seba, one of Seba's younger sister there. Finished her degrees in agronomy. So glad to see the young females them taking up agriculture as a science and as a degree. Because we have many of us choose to be studying law and business, and we tend to forget with all these things as a studying, still got to eat. So when I see young people picking up agriculture as a science and as a way of life, my heart really pleased. And also over the weekend gone there, Sunday, Yasan probably get into that with Virgin Tau Baptiste and showed some pic of, and one of the pic that he showed here in Nevis was a young lady, Heidi Tyson, one of the young lady extension officer at the agriculture department, doing in her backyard, doing her gardening. And she was not just also an agronomist, she was still one of our beauty queen. She entered a pageant and stuff like that. So this evening we'll be here and there, but as you see, have a little Christmas tree on the table, because we don't really need to bring people in within the country to take up our resources, the land and soil and our water, when we can put in the works ourselves and have a lot of young people here into farming. So, son, what's going on with you? Good evening.
Global greetings, my brethren. It's another beautiful day. For the past couple of days, we're getting some sun, so we're getting a chance to be able to go out and do a little bit of preparation for spring. But we should be getting some cold weather coming Friday this weekend, so it's not really, sounding too happy. So that's kind of what's going on my ends. In terms of the cannabis side, lots of things going on that side here in this part of the globe. Different states having a lot of different issues as the debate continues to not decriminalize, but reschedule. That's, I think, the terminology that I was looking for. Rescheduling cannabis, removing it from a Schedule 1 to a Schedule 3, and some of the implications and issues surrounding that. So that's one of the big issues here in America. And some states are having it a bit more challenging than some, and all that's going on. But, it's a pleasure to be with the public, the listening public once more. And, it's really good to see that we're at that stage where, we could actually have a tree on the table, and it's, the norm. And I'm loving the fact that we really seek to do that, seek to, bring that level of paradigm shifting that is needed within our people, so that we can take away those kind of negative stigma and still seeing it as, something negative and bad. And that also is one of the reasons to why, there are some people who I recall you saying, some people, when they do look at the program and they see me puffing a spliff now and again on the program, they get a little bit offended. But for me, I kind of intentionally do it to some extent so that we could normalize. If I was here sitting with a glass of liquor, sipping on a beer, Guinness or whatever, it would not have been any problem. If it was maybe a cigarette or a big cigar, they may look at it as, he feel like he got big money now because he puffing a big cigar. He got Cuban, it's Cuban cigars,
Of course.
And they will be cool with that. But, to look at me now and smoking a joint now, they still have that taboo, in their system and so on. And so, all of that is a part of what we do. So we do it in words, in terms of the re-education and, getting people to refix their psyche and so on. And we do it in certain subtle things that we do. Just like, bringing the plant and letting folks see that, yes, you can have a plant. You can actually have your 5 plants in your yard, and, you use it for whatever reasons you want to use it for, whether to make tea or to cook, Yeah,
but where you get this 5 planting from?
Well, sorry. well, I was going back with the licensing thing that they said that, based on what they legislate in the House there. But I know that you can have any amount basically based on the Constitution.
Well,
So
let me speak it like well, let
might
me speak it
stand to be
like that.
corrected.
You know, we're working with how the politician them putting
I
things
stand,
now.
I stand to be
We're
corrected.
speaking it
Yes.
in the words of the ancestors with truth. So if you can have 1,000 plants in a yard, if you can fit, that's what it is. We can't let the system keep playing bamboozles us. Just so we enslavers doing okay, they're playing the enslavers game and we ain't playing the game. We gotta speak truth for what it is. We can't twist things here and there. If remember,
Yeah, so
it's
we
not have
gotta
nothing to
just
do with
like
us,
how
It's every
just like
citizen,
how
not Rasta. You have nothing to do with
that
Rasta. It's every citizen. So we need to
right.
clarify these things. You see what I mean? Every
So
citizens have the right to have a herb in their yard because that's what the Constitution states. So now, remember they
well,
say now you have
just like
it's
Batis,
yes.
just
Go
like
ahead.
Tabatis and the weekend there, the topic was so timely.
Mm-hmm.
Decolonization of the minds of Caribbean people. This is a part of
Of
decolonizing
course,
the mind because we have been colonized and programmed and brainwashed to think and look and perceive and everything about this plant in terms of negative, and in a lot of the cases to just even want to just limit the debate and the discussion to smoking and the issues surrounding smoking, and neglect looking at all of the other possibilities. It's just this morning I was looking at an article I saw on LinkedIn where there's this guy somewhere somewhere in Europe now is making bricks, blocks.
of
We're
course, of
building our
course.
house
The
with out
the
of
fiber,
hemp.
of course.
And it is less toxic because there's this quest right now to end the use of cement,
Yeah.
concrete cement that we use. So this was one of the innovative byproducts of that quest, and it is actually carbon friendly and all of these other things. And so we look having that different image and that different perspective. So imagine in years to come, everybody's house might be a hemp house, a ganja house, right? And we were just not really thinking along that line because we're still limiting the argument and the debate and the discussion surrounding smoking and the implications and all of that in regards to smoking, when that is just one tiny aspect in relation to the possibilities of the industry that we have in front of us. And as we speak of that, I did not hear the premier's conference today, but I think it was aired earlier on today. I didn't really hear. So I am gonna make this statement, bearing in mind that I didn't hear that. So if so, I stand to be corrected.
Mm-hmm.
But it's almost a month now since cannabis. It's more than a month now since they had the House of Assembly, where we were informed that the issue of cannabis has been removed from the Premier and the Prime Minister's ministry and has been moved to the Minister of Agriculture. And in Nevis, we have not heard anything from the Agricultural Minister in regards to cannabis and the way forward for cannabis. So I stand to be, that's why I said, I don't know if anything was mentioned at the Premier's press conference earlier on today.
Mm-hmm.
But I am saying, if not, then what is the issue in bringing the issue to the people on Nevis if federally this thing is addressed already? And so it is something that the federation should benefit from, which lends to a question I see on Facebook pretty earlier, just before I came on here, where a prominent educator is asking the question, are we really a federation? So and I mean, it's a real serious question when we sometimes look at how things are addressed and how issues are dealt with amongst our people, and this being one where it seems as if though cannabis, the laws in relation to cannabis have been loosened and addressed and so on in terms of the federation, but on the Nevis Island government side, we are not seeing any push. So we are seeing some push and some movements and syndicats and so on, but we're not necessarily hearing anything from those who are in authority. Let me put it that way, because I know people on Nevis are doing their thing.
But remember, the Premier had said
from the authority.
But remember, the Premier had said years before when the cannabis talk has started under with the NRP government that the with Patrice Nisbet and stuff like that that the cannabis thing is a federal and they cannot do Nevis Island can't do nothing about the cannabis until the federal deal with it, and then they will have to after the federal government put things in place, then they can then be a part of it and stuff like that. But then there were still different discussions saying cannabis fall under agriculture as a plant. But then you know how politicians then play the game back and forth, so you know you just sit and listen. But no, the federal government have been always pushing forward and stuff like that. So, but on the Nevis end, I mean, you'll hear the premier. He's the only one who would come out and speak and have discussion on cannabis itself. I mean, the director of agriculture have never spoken on agriculture. The PS, the minister before this new minister here, Jeffers, now Mr. Evelyn's in. So Spencer Van, none of the other Troy Lai, but none of them have a discussion or even entertain the conversation. You see what I mean? When it comes to this plan, because for a lot of them it's still taboo, for most for them maybe it's a waste of time. But once everything goes in place, you will see who all those who think something was a waste of time, who all want to jump on the bandwagon. Because I've realized from long time, everybody love when it comes to making a dollar, everybody want to get involved, whether it's something they're for or against, they will get involved. But let me say good evening to the folks, those who tune in on 102.1 FM, also the folks on the 2020 Vision Radio on the web, and the folks on YouTube, Twitch TV, and I said YouTube or Facebook. Yeah, greatly appreciate you guys tuning in and listening. And let me say good evening to Joy King, Brindley Williams. You have Owen Otto Heiliger here, and Gwen Williams and Evan Jeffers. Good evening to you guys. And Yason, as I say, I mean, you don't really hear much when it comes to cannabis. I mean, somehow in Nevis, I mean, it seems to be taboo, and people still don't realize they can have plants in the yard and stuff. So many people ask me, "You sure about this?" Well, Mr. You have Minister of Government. Ask them, engage them.
But so Banky, but that is the argument that
engage them.
Yeah, I am saying that it is high time. So
yes.
The argument that you even presented there a while ago, where you said a couple of years ago, the premier said that it's a federal thing. Mm-hmm. And then you also pointed to that they said that it should be an agricultural thing and it is a plant, it should be under agriculture. Well, all of that has happened.
Yes.
Because it has the federal government has moved forward and said, well, this is what we are doing. And they have also moved the cannabis issue under the Ministry of Agriculture. So it's the Minister of Agriculture is responsible for coming to the people to talk. And that is what I am asking. I'm saying, since before cannabis, they would have passed it in the House, because that's when they made that change. They made that legal change in the House, where it was moved. Now the issues in regards to cannabis was moved to the Minister of Agriculture, which happens to be in St. Kitts, the Honorable Samuel Duggins,
yes,
and on Nevis, the Honorable Eric Evelyn. Now, we would have seen efforts made on St. Kitts, because cannabis in itself was an effort that was made by the government of St. Kitts and Nevis, or the governments of, if you want to put it that way, St. Kitts then, pushing their agenda and making sure that the people are sensitized, and the people are aware that this can happen. And they did not just do an event that is like some knock-up thing in some community. No. They went Marriott,
yes, Marriott, for 2 days, 2 days event.
And
yes,
demonstrating that this is a high-end product and this is the kind of level and seriousness that we are taking with this. Now, first up, we didn't even have a representation from Nevis in terms of the federal government. And I know people are going to say you were there, but you were not there.
No, I was there as a participant. No, I was there on my own, as a farmer
who was invited, a farmer, to go and deal with your issue
and be a part of the panel at the same time.
Representation. So let me just make that clear when I make my statement in saying that there was no representation from Nevis.
Yes,
I'm talking about in terms of governmental, administrative capacity. You were there personally, so you represented Nevis, yes,
of course,
on a personal capacity, or in a personal capacity. There was none, and up to now, still I'm saying, though we had St. Kitts demonstrating that, there is not even a speech or a discussion from the Minister of Agriculture and Nevis to say, well, okay, guys, you know, I am now, this is our responsibility now, this is my responsibility now. and this is what is going on. We haven't even had that. So since kids have moved on and done cannabis, and we have not done anything, and we have not even heard from the minister in regards to cannabis and Nevis. But at the same time, Banky, as I said this, I also have to add this, that it is also the people who are allowing this, because, you know, at the same to represent them accountable. And sometimes it's things like these, Banky, that really bring out that demonstrate that level that we as a people should be taking, the things that we should be taking and we are taking for granted and allowed to be played politics with. Because I think, you know, that is, you know, some of the things that I am noticing in regards to, and when I say politics, I'm not talking about the regular partisan politics. I'm talking about politics in regards to the games that they play. So, like, you have, for example, one side saying one thing and the other saying another thing, and you don't necessarily have that opportunity for both sides to come to the table. Like, as we speak of agriculture, you know, I listened to it well, I didn't get to hear all of it, but I got bits and portions of a talk show on Sin Kids earlier on today, which was really zoomed in on agriculture.
Yes.
And that program, all I am hearing is the direct disconnect between the farmers and the administration. And even the host of the radio program was saying, well, they had the minister, they had the PS and so on the program, and they had one side of the story that they're speaking. And then when you listen to the farmers now, the farmers have a whole other story. And it's the same thing I'm hearing on Nevis as well. So that's why I say we're playing politics, because the same kind of game that is played with politics as well, where you would hear one side saying something and one side saying the other thing, but we don't get that opportunity to have, say, a debate where you have the two of them and you get to ask the two of them and let them respond in front of you. So it's the same thing. We're not having that with the farmers and the administration. So we need to have that platform. Maybe we need to seek to do that here. See if we could get the ministers and those who are in authority in terms of agriculture, and get couple of the serious farmers on the panel as well, and have that debate and that exchange, because there seems to be a disconnect, and the disconnect cannot continue if you're really serious about. Let me not even talk about 25 by 25. It cannot continue if we're really serious about our sustenance, because food security right now is a serious crisis. You look at what's going on with the war going on right now, Banky. I mean, ships can't pass through some Panama Canal and so on. And if you're dependent so much on imports, food, which means you're gonna have, you know, blockages, you're gonna have shortages, and then even when things happen, food prices is going to continue to go up. And then you have other farmers, big countries where large farmers are protesting. I'm seeing what's going on in France and some of the other European countries, where them man literally blocking streets, going in the city, using the pump truck and pumping cow feces and all kind of thing in buildings, and just doing what they got because they're protesting. I hope we don't really got to reach to that kind of level. But based on what I'm saying, if these things are not addressed, Banky, if these things are not addressed, you can't take on, I mean, the farmers protesting in St. Kitts and Nevis. You don't import. So what's going to happen if they stop, if they decide, well, they're not putting certain crops and they're not do certain things. So we really have to get these things, you know, on a serious level. We really have to seriously address these things. I know it's that time for the folks from the BVI and stuff.
Yes,
to come in, so I'll let you do that.
All right. And we have Sankofa just join us right there. So when we come back, we greet Sankofa.
This 2020 Vision Radio 102.1 FM program is being simulcast weekly on the Caribbean Broadcast Network, heard on CBN Superstation 90.9 FM, Go Loud Digicel app, covering the entire U.S. and British Virgin Islands, and CBN TV on Flow Channel 101 and on CCT TV Channel 291. We do appreciate our U.S. and British Virgin Island listeners and viewers joining us for these informative and entertaining programs on 2020 Vision Radio and 102.1 FM.
Yeah, this is Sampolo, representing for the Everything Agriculture Show with DJ X-Ray Yassis and Banky on 2020visionradio.com or 102.1 FM every Tuesday at 7 p.m. Yeah, you know. Stay tuned, stay connected. Lot to love, you know.
Yes, good evening and welcome to the Everything Agriculture Show, and you're listening to Banky. If you're first time listening, I'm my co-host Yason Tafari over in California, and our guest this evening is Maccabee Sankofa over from the other side, my sister island, St. Kitts. This evening is the end of the month. We talk about ganja reasoning, but at the same time we incorporate food security and other discussion at the same time. Yason, earlier you want to continue where you left off? Sankofa, what's going on with you?
Well, at this point, I would just want to, welcome in Sankofa, because I think I would have said a mouthful, and
All right.
seeing that he's the guest, give him a chance to get the greetings and, talk to the people and make an introductory statement.
Sankofa, what kind of people look at you can't even see your face. What kind of people that you see? What kind of design that?
I have to set up for me. I guess she got to come back and fix that.
Tell the daughter what the people that want to see you, man. We just...
Anyway, give thanks to the Almighty Father, His Son Yahshua Emmanuel, the Messiah, and Empire this last first every time. You know, must see a man face all the time, but I give thanks for the opportunity to be here and Banky Show as well, same way still.
Yes, sorry.
And we give thanks for his co-host as well too, same way. So we give thanks Yason Tafari. We give thanks for his presence as well. We give thanks for the whole St. Kitts and Nevis as a federation. We got to really curb the crime rate still differently than the herbs still. We have to really find a way as races to come together and set something on paperwork and give it to the Prime Minister, maybe even the government, and we do our part in trying to secure our youth and future. Because to have 30-something murders within a place with only about 50-something thousand people, the crime rate is very high, even internationally if we do it per capita. So we ask that we really try to work on that day as a unit and help the federation in that respect there still. At the same time, we're going to be helping us because these are we people them going down the drain. A lot of people dying when I ain't recognizing that there, from the COVID thing, from the vaccine, from even this gunshot business and all them things there. So they will try to minimize that part of the frustration, because that's even more serious than anything else. But in relation to the herb now, everything Yason said, I agree with, so I don't really have much else to say in respect to that aspect of it. But what I would like to say is that we got to do our part. Just like banking and sit around and wait for no more laws and regulations and all kind of thing. Banky don't do anything and I'm making money.
We're working with the laws of the ancestors, The ancestors set the laws. We're not dealing with the European laws. We're working with the laws of the ancestors.
Even to the last event where he went there, while everybody else attack, you collect, so I think that's the meditation we have to take.
What you mean?
We have to get a business, maybe even 2 or 3. We decide what we want. The Rasta Nation have to do at least a 2 or 3 business as a group, but individually There's so many different aspects to deal with. We know that there. So just choose a business. Like for me now, I going into seeds. I done into the infusion of the oils. I done into soap and other things, and I got people who can do these things working with man still. I'm not the only one dealing with it, and we having a hope for when the 11th of February with Gideon Force, and we're gonna be promoting some different cannabis products and regular food too, because as Yason point out, it's important to balance the herb with the food, because remember, herb can eat, but certain things you're not gonna get from the herb, like certain nutrients you wouldn't get from the herb, like how you would get from moringa. Everything have its purpose. You see? So herb can give you a healing same way still, but it's in a different form still.
Thank God.
So we give thanks. The Father have put this plant here, and I think what we have to do is, I think at this point here, we can't worry about the failure of the system, because the system ain't designed just for us alone still. So the reality, what we have to do now we're in the position where we can have access to the herb and actually distribute the herb, because of the Rastafari recognition business that they put forward there the other day. I think we now need to just go a lead and start to create our own business. When I went over I them the other day, Zade, the sister in there, I think that's might be her name still. I buy a herb shampoo from her,
Mm-hmm.
you know, and they have herb lotion, they got cannabis cream. Even they got a lady there from Nevis, Nature's Best, who gonna be coming over here. We got to just start to our our own activities, don't wait upon nobody, and still actually get the people them loving our products. Get our local people loving our product first, because you have to think about using our products locally so that you could actually even be testing them. Because you see directly what are go on. When you sell a product overseas, if you haven't done your proper testing, there's no way for you to evaluate it, because the person just gone. But here now, you could actually do studies while making money. You see it? So I think this is where we at right now. I'm not worrying about where they at, because I don't see what I go on. I may gonna come and bash nobody too heavy tonight. 'Cause every time I bash them, and I get vexed with me. And I
Talking,
come.
man, it's a lot.
But what I would definitely tell you is that we thinking about just starting our own businesses accordingly, and everybody get a product that could best fit you. Somebody could just go into cannabis juice, and then they could blend it with moringa. They could find a formula that could make them safe, and then test their product in a kind of way, like to say, give it to certain persons and see what's the best. And actually, even if we have to do it scientifically, put our products them to test scientifically, CMS still, to see what nutrients and what blessings they have inside of them still, so that we can be accurate with our information when we're giving to the people. So we got to step up our game. There we have to start to make the oils, we have to start doing juices, we have to start making the creams, the and you still have to have the seeds them too, and putting aside the seeds, saying how you breed your seeds, adding either your own name to your seed them, or actually take the breed race from and you name it accordingly. But I
Yeah,
feel
but
like
put
this
our
is the way we have
cannabis
to
by
move forward right now.
But we
To
have
actually
we have
start
Board here online.
Yes,
produce
I
the
just said
herb
greetings. Yes, I'm here.
and
All
produce
right,
the
cool.
herb as well too. Blessed Boras, you really want to put in there, so I would ask you to come in there if Banky
You
don't
know,
really.
I just listen to you, Ella, still. So,
Yeah, so I will seal up my reasoning with
No,
you.
hold a second.
Um,
Hold a second.
my,
What I would suggest, right, is Bora in the background. He got some noise, so what he could do is pause the mic while you're talking, so that his
tonight.
mic don't interfere. So you could just pause the
Okay.
mic, and then when you're ready, you
and
open
when
back
you
the mic.
when
Yeah.
you when you're ready to
Okay, I got
talk,
you.
you go
Tonight.
where you come in.
I am
So
in
I would
silence
just
right
like to
now.
say,
Please.
My name is
Them the
Ras
pause, you know.
Sanko
Yeah,
from
we go back. I
Maccabi,
want to respond. I got the phone.
and I'm actually representing Gideon Force Agricultural Cooperatives, CMS still,
Them the pause, you
and
know.
also House of Yehuda Musical Foundation. So, man, give thanks, but that's the focus I want us to actually get a product and actually manifest that product to the nation. Prove your product first and then manifest that product to the nation, because that's the only way we're going to be able to go forward and just intertrade with one another, because right now Hoba sell fast, and even though we usually have a slow in the market, you see that everything now increase again, and it's going to be so for a while. So we can't wait until Babylon, because we have to keep the market going still. We have to keep the market going, because other persons that try to get in this market, they're selling the weed, them still too high, and they're still dealing with a lot of chemical herb.
Yes, I know.
Organic, that will be the way for I and our future if we really want to deal with herb, because if you're going to give herb to people medically, that means you have to go inside their body as the raw material. You see it? And sometimes if you spray your herb and if you put certain, force chemicals on your herb, you're not getting the herb in the full state that naturally the father wanted it to be. So when you present it organic, your body will receive it better organic, the endocannabinoid system that they are claiming. But the system they've been there for all the time. That's why we know it, because every time we use the herb, we feel the system operating inside the body. We just didn't have a name for it, and we ain't even sure that's the right name for it still. It's a name that they just give. But it's a system to receive the herb when it comes from the earth naturally. And it's best reactable when the herb is organic. You could get the best out of the system, out of the cannabinoid system in your body when the herb is organic, because it actually can identify the herb better. Because once a herb contaminated with a lot of chemicals and stuff like that, sometimes the body get full, so they can't identify. But when things come natural from the earth, they identify it one time, because the system was made to actually
Of course.
receive,
Yes.
just like a man and a woman, different body parts, so that they could receive, so that they could procreate. Father gave us this plant here so that we could use it, so we could get the best out of it for help man go forward. Give thanks.
One of the things I've been saying all the time, I mean, with this crime thing going on with a lot of these young people, I mean, for those who love agriculture, may not even thought about agriculture as a business, but once you're going to show them how you can make money when it's into farming, setting up greenhouses, whether it's cannabis, tomatoes, lettuce, and once you're going to show someone, you might not know how to do it, or have that interest, but then they can, once they see a way in, they can make a living. They will gain that interest if you're willing to teach them. So the government can set up programs like these where they can have people like you, Sanko, for myself, or any other people have workshops with interest with anyone who want to get into farming, and especially the cannabis part of it. That's why we see I tend to have this show, because we can't be moving towards an industry and then you have outsiders coming in like this is sugarcane, this is cotton, just come to take our sunshine, our natural resources, our water, our land. This thing don't make no sense. So why are we even having this conversation? I mean, you be hearing June Eliud and all these elder guys talking about in the 70s and 60s, and we're having the same conversation. So, I mean, really? This don't make no sense.
Banky,
this is ridiculous. Let me finish up your son and then...
Before we introduce Ras Boer, right? I
Yes.
just wanted to respond to something that Sankofa mentioned.
Mhm.
In relation to Rastafari. I really personally would not necessarily even think about that. I would definitely urge Rastafari to take the mantle and move forward, because that is a discussion in itself, where Rastafari has been given that respect according to the system to do what they need to do. So yes, they need to really take that front, but because the program is an open program, my quest in terms of asking the government, asking for the Minister of Agriculture to come forward, is because the reality is sensitization is important and the education is important. And even though we as Rastafari, we know, and we are Rastafaris on the program as well. So there's that natural bias that is there in regards to us. So what we're just doing at the same time is also just pointing out so that we are not just biased towards Rastafari, we also look now for everybody, so that they who put the law in place should actually come and educate the people, and so that even those who are not Rastafari and really want to get involved in the industry from a local standpoint, so that as we're talking about here, instead of having foreigners coming in and do it, then at least if the ministers then come forward and make this thing and let the people realize that we can really start to do something, because I think a lot of people still have a little bit of, pause and hold back, and so because they're not sure.
You see
yes, Rastafari should jump ahead and do what they need to do.
You see,
but that is the point I was trying to bring out. So
it goes back to what I'm talking about, where we're talking about the crime, and I've been speaking like this all the time. If they need assistance, for myself is available when it comes to having a workshop with these young guys, because if it's one thing I know, once some people don't even know what they really want to do, and people that change skill set different times, so nothing is wrong with that, because the more skill set you have is all about for your own survival. So I know within the agricultural system, when it comes to farming, if you do it right, you can make a lot of money. You see what I mean? And I assist and work along with a lot of farmers in different areas with this traditional greenhouse technology, hydroponic system. It doesn't matter. Once you understand but everything boils down to safety. Safety. Because even with the cannabis, you still have farmers going the herb and spraying Gramaxone out in the field, and then they will still go and then plant within the same area, glyphosate. So it doesn't. So they have to understand the dangers of these things, and these stuff that are still here, they are banned in a lot of places. This glyphosate especially, and highly toxic to the soil and highly cancerous. And these are one of the main ingredients that is sell herbicides that they sell around here in all the hardware and in both agriculture department. So I'm very frightened when it comes to the 2025, and then you hear farmers say, "Oh, we want more chemical. We want the chemicals mean herbicide," and then a lot of these insecticide that they're using, you see what I mean, is in the red. So I have a serious problem when it comes to our farming system here, when it comes to the heavy use of, and let me say, beginning the 3rd of this month, I'll be managing a farm below Hasford. So tomorrow, I would have one the worker there, spraying the plants, but they'll be using some stimulant to encourage like some phosphorus and stuff like that, to encourage fruiting and flowering and stuff like that. So if you see me using anything they're spraying, even if you have the worker have on all kind of gears, someone could be passing and have a reaction, even though something might be plant-based and stuff, or what is named, they can have a reaction. So safety is always key, and I try to do it as early in the morning. You ain't got to worry if I'm using something dangerous, because I'm not going to do that. So whatever I'm using is safe for the environment, safe for the bees, safe for the birds, and that is how I do things. So I just like to, it's in the front of the general public. There's a school down there. Then you have large supermarkets. You have gas station. You see what I mean? You're right on the main road. So when it's on the main road, the boondocks, when I use that in the castle, I don't use herbicide, whether it's Gramaxone, Roundup, none of those stuff. Okay? So everything we do is supposed to work, because a lot of people making money off of us, and who own all these companies, the same people who. You see, we're going down the same road. Everything is about money. And we're not thinking safety. You see what I mean? I've seen so much craziness. And a lot of these things, not just farmers, homeowners too, use a lot of herbicides around their home to kill the cow later we call the bee bush, and other herbicide weeds they have around the yard. So it's not just farmers alone, homeowners themselves use a lot of dangerous chemicals too. So, and also the hotels and a lot of the inns and where they have as guest house. So it's not just the farmers alone when it comes to pointing out these things, even rat poison and all this stuff. You see what I mean? And some people use a lot of bleach. All these are chemicals, so it's just not. Some use ammonia and all kind of different toxic acids. All these can affect you. So it's not just looking at just the herbicide, the pesticides and the herbicide, and just as farmers, is the whole island as a whole. In the collective, we got to look and see who's using these products. Can we do the workshops? All these things is coming into play, and then how you dispose of a lot of these tins and stuff. If they rinse them out properly 3 times, make sure they clean properly, and all these different, and taken to a place. And so where these tins end up, at our solid waste dump, and do those who use these herbicides and pesticides, rinse them out properly. So you see, it's always will still end up and leak into our soil and end up, and our dump is right by the water, right by the seawater, practically in the seawater, I must say. So we're not thinking about these things. So it's just today I run into my good friend there, farmer co-worker Quincy Bart in county, and asked him when we're going to do a workshop, come on the show to have a discussion about pesticides and some of the new pests that is affecting the farmers and stuff like that. So he showed me sometime in February and then in March or something like that. So they'll definitely come in with the pesticide board himself, along with Keithley Amri, the former director, and along with his co-worker over on the other side in St. Kitts, Katie and Banton, also in quarantine area. So these are the things that we really need, and it's a collective effort. But also, if you want to be a part of the show, the telephone number is 469-7953 or 669-7312 or 1917-460-2187. Also, but this killing thing with these young guys, we just killing ourselves is genocide, and only want somebody benefiting. Those who own the morgues and the doctors and you see what I mean, is a certain set of people within the system benefiting off of these things. And then you're having this large amount of funerals and all this different stuff. So who benefiting off of these things? So the family really got to think and look back and realize so you might say, oh, you don't like certain people, but they're still benefiting. So for these people, it's business. So they're not going to tell you, stop, hurt yourself, because then you're having them living in big houses, driving nice cars on behalf of you. You see what I mean? You have to find big money to pay a lawyer to catch these cases, then go to visit doctors, therapy. So, I see so many parents when you watch them, you see how much weight they lose, because psychologically, nobody getting involved on one hand, one side getting paid, the other side, and really and truly, paying people is not going to work. That's not going to solve the problem. You really got to have people having different skill set where they can depend on themselves and not depend on cars. Only you can depend on you. The moment you start to rely on a system or anyone to depend on you, that person going to dictate when you eat, how you go about, and believe me, they're going to have, some people are just going to, when they start giving you things and you put in, you can't pay off that. So I recommend that the government themselves have program. I'm always available to have workshops, and I've done many workshops. No one with the government. I'm still available for workshop. Some I might do for free, depending on what it is. Some might charge a little fee to help. You understand? Because I got to live too. But these are stuff have to be done. Training. And if we're going to move forward when it comes to 2025 agenda, the cannabis industry, you will have pests. And my concern is how you go about dealing with pests. I have a tree here, a cannabis tree. I couldn't name it. It's my own strain, which I breed up with some different strain and whatever. I can give it a name if I want to. If I have to give it a name, I'd call it Oli. In the words of the ancestors and indigenous people, that's what I'll give it. But the names them don't really mean nothing to me. If I just call this name, that name, people just want the herb going to do what it name. The name ain't going to change what the herb going to do, So I don't even take on all these names and this ism and schism and what's not that somebody else come up with. I don't entertain them things there. I work with one way, and it's the ancient way. I ain't work with nobody else's way, because we set everything from creation. So who come after can't come tell me to follow their way. I ain't gonna work with that, and that's just how I always set it. So because
Banky,
yes, let
me give
Bora.
Crash Bora an introductory speech, and then probably after that I could maybe go to one or two of the comments, and then we could get back into another part of the discussion.
All right, Bora, come in.
Yes, greetings.
Yeah, greetings.
And bless the love in the name of the Father, Son, Emmanuel the Christ, and Lord and Savior, and I comfort His impure majesty, Haile Selassie first. And I give thanks for the item to invite I and I to be a part of the item show. For the first time still being a part of the show. So man give much thanks to the item. And even the elder Sam Cole from Maccabee also to actually choose me to come on the show with him.
Yes,
yeah, so I've been listening for maybe like about a half an hour. And you can see the item raising on maybe different topics, so I guess it's for me to really have a sense of, where I want to speak of still.
Yes.
And based upon the way you hear the item speak, I will start from, I think from the last thing I might hear Banky was speaking about in terms of how we to deal with the situation, in terms of pesticide issues. And I will just speak from Gideon Force to the ideas or Gideon Force vision how I and I as a group collectively come together and understand the way how to deal with these issues is to deal with how God Himself would have set nature,
Yes,
where
I.
nature manages itself technically. That's the only sustainable way out. When you look at what has been presented to us over the times, all the different techniques and ways of farming, we can see that it still is failing in a sense. But when we look at what's being done naturally in front of us, like the mountain itself, or even the seawater, these areas are more sustainable because they are run in a natural in a natural way, in a more diverse way. So one of the first issue to deal with a pest with to say the problem that we face using insecticide, pesticide, herbicide, fungicide is because we, as you said, Banky a while ago, you don't want to go these people where, but that's the way they set for farming for the educational
Yes,
system.
I. True.
So the conventional technique of just making the quick cash using all of these pesticide, even fertilizers within the synthetic,
Mm-hmm.
like MPK and these sort of stuff to boost the product, to have it come large and to have it look a certain way. These ways have proved to us to be, detrimental to us. We see the diseases coming out of these um, products. That's the reality. The reality is that the way that the farming community have chosen, and when you say farming, you're covering every area of farming, and just the vegetable crop, but the herbs also, because it's hard for a man who normally use chemical in the farm not to use any herb. It's very hard for him not to
I'm here saying
choose
for us to
them
represent for the
all
neighbors,
together.
everything agriculture.
Sorry about that.
You understand? So the whole system for us from Gideon point of view is that we can see the strain from how nature, how Father had given to us, and we gone to mankind ideas, especially where we call the enemy, the beast idea, coming from a Rasta point of view, is like we gone strain technically in the way that it should have never been. So that's why you said, Banky, the pesticide issue is, it can't even go away that easy because it become a part of
Yes.
I and I day-to-day liberty. And we as races, I mean, we've been holding to nature for forever. So I think that, we ain't acting out this kind of way. We always been this way. I think that I must say that from a Rasta point of view, as a youngster, I remember Rastas always keep this natural idea of farming, this natural idea of everything. So I wish the Rastas been holding on, not just Gideon, even though I was speaking from a Gideon point of view. I think majority of the Rastas from as a youth in St. Kitts and Nevis being living like more in the natural way. So I don't think we're too far off. I think that it's the young generation that is coming that is a little strained. But I think we elders them, from what I observe, they're more organic technically. They're
Yes.
more natural. So I think the fight is just for the outsiders of Rascals. But I think we as Rascals, I think we cannot have a sense of understanding. But one thing I must about the herbs to Banky, we have to balance out the production of herbs with the production of food.
Yes,
We
I.
have to make sure while we're looking at the business part of the herbs, it don't take us away from having the food that is gonna keep us to stay balanced. Because we don't want to ever go over, maybe have the herb planting 60% and the food gonna be like 40%. We have to always make sure the food is always above the margin of the herb. Not even having an equal balance, but we have to make sure that we have food and have it organically grown. And I think that's the challenge right now for the future. It ain't really maintaining the whole business in St. Kitts, but the sustainable of agriculture in terms of an organic way. Because if we don't have it organic, I think it's going to be destruction no matter how you flip the coin. So I think that's where we got to really start to make the changes. In the total where we do farming, and I don't think everything is, could come after that. But as I was saying earlier, you're worrying about these areas, and even for climate change, as they're saying, is this bad practices bring on this lot of problems? If you look at the way the agriculture affect the climate, is the chemicals that they spray in the atmosphere on a regular basis, help cause, according to these scientists, their problems. So they're giving us their ideas, they're giving us their invention, and then it messing up everything. So yeah, we have to just we just got to hold firm to what we have and try to teach it to the youths. So I think the youths also have to be educated. I think we have to start with the youths, because the elders, them, I don't think they're going to really change, but I think the youths them have, that's where the chance going to be, educate them about the herbs too. Because when we want to make a big business out of it, the youths them have to still be a part of the whole society and the culture of the whole moving here and there. They have to know how we're going to allow them to use it, because if we right now use them using the herbs, much more than the adults, and they have to be managed too. And I think that we have to still find ways that, within society with a balance. We still don't want these users to say abuse it in a technical way. And I think we as Rastas have to still know, we have a responsibility also to make sure that our future generation, don't just come up and it could seem like it was a bad idea. We have to make it look exactly how God wanted it to be. And for the use of man, not just maybe for the money part. So yeah, that's my little bit. Other than if I have to talk about, I guess maybe next time I speak, I will talk a little bit about what Gideon promotion still for the LEM. But Banky, I give thanks for having I and even the other elder there, you give thanks still.
Yes, son.
Elder Sam Kofa. And bless the community, bless all those listening, and give thanks for being a part of our communication, because this is communication. We have to obviously communicating. So I give thanks for this chance to communicate, even to the eyes and to the eye them listeners. So thanks once more. Bless and love every time.
Yes, son. Before you get into the comments,
wait, Boa making it sound as if like he just come in and said this and he gone. Boa, this is just an introductory statement.
Yeah, me and God. I just me and God. I just give somebody a chance.
Okay, I just making sure that it's an introductory statement.
I know that.
Yeah. All right, Banky, go on, Banky.
Before I'll just make a comment what Bo touched there when you're talking about to the youth and the use of the herb. One of the things that I've realized and I don't like is that a lot of the young folks them who are using the herb are using the herb with tobacco, the brown and the fonto and stuff like that. Whether it's male or female, those who getting into smoking and stuff like that, you seem to using a lot of tobacco. I'm not sure because they end up smoking it with people, and that is one of the reasons. So they end up getting addicted to Cause remember, tobacco main ingredient is one of it is nicotine, and it's highly addictive. So they tend to use the local tobacco. If not, they bring in the imported one that they call brown or fonto. Some of the Jamaican we call it grabber and a kind of different name, but both of them are the same thing. Tobacco and the natural ingredient is nicotine, which is highly addictive. I mean, growing up in the 80s, I owned my uncle.
My Starlink, this is the satellite, right? So my Starlink, even though I'm not on the ground down there, my Starlink is letting me know that apart from the tobacco, seemingly there is some prevalence of some other those kind of opioids and so on that's in America that's on the street, on synthetics and
like what?
A lot of the young youths, ecstasy and all kind of different little Mali and all kind of different little things that they're mixing and adding
to the herb.
Really? Yeah. So that's my satellite, my Starlink. Sorry, giving me them kind of intel. So
what kind of high these youth look on?
Apart from the tobacco itself, there are lots of little things that's happening, and infiltrating that we on the herb side might not necessarily know about, because we just stick to strictly herb.
Yes, and plus
that's what we're dealing with.
Plus the youth and them tend to, you see 5 guys sitting down, or some are females or whoever, and they share in one joint. I mean, man don't share joint. You see what I mean? If you're into smoking, you got your own joint and do your own thing. Man don't need to be passing here and all this saliva here and there. And so you see what I mean? So everybody are big people.
COVID would have helped them to really, get back from them kind of things. Yeah,
no,
we grew up, the school that we grew up in.
Yes.
And that is because, and as a result of that, if you couldn't roll your own joint,
that's the whole point. You can't smoke. That's the whole point.
So it's a bash place in front of you.
Yes,
so the cannabis school that I grew up in, that is how it is.
But they pass nothing to you.
If you roll a joint, that's your problem.
Yes.
Because nobody sharing a joint. A bash is in front of you with the herb and the reasoning going on. And when it's time for you to roll a joint, you roll a joint. If not, too bad for you. That means you're in the wrong school.
Yes.
But so,
That's one thing that
That's
that
how I that's how I
bothered
was
me.
that's how I was brought up in Rastafari.
Yes, but the masses seem to be using a lot as I said different other stuff mixed with the cannabis. Instead of using the cannabis in its pure form, they mix in other stuff. So you seem to have so you'll find them just they can't use the herb unless they have blood or have tobacco or whatever the other secondary product to add with
And then
it.
we end up with a problem, Banky, with that because the end result is a lot of the times too. Sometimes when these guys use these other substances, people tend to just put the blame on cannabis. So sometimes when they behave a particular way, people
Yes,
say, "Oh, it's cannabis make them move." So
of
I
course.
recall when I like in my era, when I used to like go club and so on. I remember I had a brethren who he used to use cannabis, yeah, and he would smoke with us and so. But at points he would ease off from us and gone somewhere, you know what I mean, in the bush or wherever, and then he come back and rejoin us. But then he gone and do he other thing, like which we found out later on, you know what I mean. But so when a person like that now may react a particular way, people blame it on cannabis and they say, "Oh, yeah, he smoke up and he do." But
Of
smoke up
course.
what?
But
Yes.
Elders, I think the panel with herbs one of the biggest issue, and that's why you see that you have to even control it from what the them saying, like to say all these things happening with the herbs is that the herb used to use more of like a sacrament,
Mm-hmm.
where you used to like when you say sacrament, you would have be consciously aware of what you're gonna use the herb for, like more like
Of
you would
course.
have put it more to connect with the Father technically. So a lot of the people at this time, a lot of man do not smoke for that no more. They're in. So what I speaking of like the bash with pastor when you have to wrap the split because at those moments
Yes.
you were more to go to go connect with Father. Today man we roll a spliff and then go and get a gun and do what he got to do. So it's like the herbs in when the problem with the herb he lose that kind of the respect authority that he had when a man was about to use. He will give thanks to Father for having it because it's something that you have to give thanks, to have it to your possession. It's like food for the thought. It's something that lifts up the spirit to the heights, and it depress all the negative effect into you. So it's a heavy herb. It's a sacrament as we call it as races. But today I don't think it get used in that environment. So then that's why the reason that all the thing that happen, because for me it's not under that sort of spiritual control. Father, you're thinking Father when you're gonna use it, while you're using it after. So most of these people just smoking they call it recreational now
Recreational, of
because it's
course.
more
Yeah,
like
yeah.
you have a Guinness and you're burning a spliff. You have
Exactly.
some
Yes.
hardcore alcohol and
Mm-hmm.
you're smoking a spliff. So that they even just as bad as using it with maybe blend and this other thing because
True.
the herb is something that calm you and these things sometimes hype you. So it kind of really cause an effect. But I think the problem with the herbs why is kind of getting out of control is because the spiritual sacrament, the part that kind of losing it. And racism who again, I mean, I got to say racism again because racism who I recognize from ever since is who keep the level. Most of everybody else was smoking for everything else, for medical, it was for this and that. But racism had always, but it still is a medical where it is a sacrament, because where we get in the heads to go to Father and connecting, it still do what you have to do because you always doing what you have to do. I mean, even though this man trying to bring all of their reason why he could do and what he can do, we he always doing what he have to do. But as a
True.
as a sacrament, I think that because he lose that sort of strength with it, I think that's why now we can, get it back to say under control. And as the item saying, yeah, it's a high rise into the blend, and I see too from me and them as in the society that I live into the community. So I think that's something that is really something that we have to really keep in mind and find out a way to deal with that future. So yeah, man, I respect the vibes there, man. We have to make different choices and hope that the youths them And one of the way, Banky and Ella,
Mm-hmm.
is to go to the schools. We have to still go to the schools and be realistic.
True.
We have to talk about these things.
Yes.
I mean, we have to put it right out on the table.
Of course.
You know, otherwise, you know, we can't talk to every child in the community. But I think if we go to the school and just let it have it, let everybody here, those who don't use it and those who use it, teachers and who ain't teachers. But I think we have to say it, you know.
The education, you see, the education level part when it comes to educating, you see, when you don't right or wrong for almost 100 years, then you come back now and say, oh, it is fine and nothing is wrong with it. You got to deprogram the people's mind. Stuff don't work like this. You see what I mean? When it don't hurt and do people all kind of stuff and they come back and say, oh, it's good now. What don't go. No, it don't work so. It don't work like that. You see what I mean? So then you have to start now a whole new. So you have to go change a whole generation. So it's going to take the next 30 years, if not more, to sense. Because if you're not starting now, I mean, just coming out, stopping downstairs and coming out the car with the street is like everybody like, well, the rest man going with that. So these things are funny to me though. I like doing something glad I'm in the crazy zone because these things are normal thing to me. So you saw me can my 3-year-old daughter no more than her than the adults them that is around. Because she understands it's for medicine and it's for drinking tea and for pain and all these things. So everything you know is what somebody put in your head. So if I educate my youth and them good, this is normal for them. You see what I mean? Normal.
You see, Banky,
yes,
my brethren Bora brought up a very interesting point, and you see that is why it's always good to have, you know, different voices and
of course,
different opinions and the program.
And then they do with the comments they want them to the son. They do with the comments they want them to finish.
Okay, I'll do that. Yeah. The comment, the comment he made there in terms of
Yasan.
Yes.
Yeah, Yasan. Yeah, man.
Yasan, what you tell me that still, man? Bless up Yasan, man.
Yeah, King.
Okay.
No. The thing is, right, that the point that he was making there in terms of the meditation as like we grew up using it from a spiritual standpoint. That's one of the things, and I think in terms of when we do go out and as he puts it, you know, we have to take it to the schools and which is part of what we have been saying for some time. There needs to be a re-education where cannabis is concerned. But in terms of using cannabis, and this is something that I have discovered in a number of ways, because I remember when I was at CFBC doing my teacher training, I did a program, and part of my research was with Rastafari, and I did what they consider my research process was participant observation. So I immerse myself within the Rastafari community while I'm doing it and learning for myself at the same time as researching and gathering information for myself, because personally I was seeking for truth for myself as well. So it was a personal research and a research that I used for my program. But one of the things that I discovered and doing the research and doing the program and doing my daily observations and my connections with cannabis is cannabis, and even all the research on cannabis have proven to be what they consider a psychoactive plant. So I don't want to classify it as a drug, a psychoactive plant. And so what I observe is that when you use cannabis, as Bora was saying, because it enhances your meditation, it depends on what your meditation is. So if you sit down, if you, for example, use cannabis and sit down between a set of man who thinking about doing certain kind of things, then yeah, it will enhance your meditation to go and do certain kind of things. So the cannabis, if in terms of what I use that description, I would use the description as it is powerful like a gun, a knife, because a knife can be used to do good things, you know, peel vegetables and make life easier for an individual, and it can also be used as a weapon, right? So in that context, so cannabis, if used in the proper context and in the proper setting, can be effective, but some can also, I don't even want to say misuse it, but technically it's misusing and you enhance their negative activities that they meditate on, because it enhances meditation. So I just kind of wanted to put that out based on how you presented the point, Bora.
Yes, I give thanks, Ella. But I think what I to touch what Banky was saying earlier about how people like respond or look upon him when he moved with cheese around. I think, I feel disappointed with our people to over the years to really agree with Babylon in terms of fighting against the herb, because we as Rastas, we invent the herb, we create the herb, we commit the herb, and we use the herb because it comes from the Father. So I think we as a spiritual community, not just a federation, but let's say the Caribbean as a whole, as Black people, I think our leaders, them, get it wrong. And even the spiritual part of it should have stand up long time ago and stand up for the sake of Father as the creator of everything.
Which spiritual, which spiritual one that?
Yeah.
Which spiritual one are you talking about?
Spiritually, like, to see, like, the churches should have done stand up long time ago for the plant as this. It's Father create the plant. We as Rastas only using it.
When the last say the herb is wicked and got the youth to make,
they should have. I think that one the biggest ever happened with this.
Church and state are one, King man. You know that church and state are one. They're making money off a tax, Church is the biggest tax collector around here, since way back when 325 BC. Like no collect 10%. Thousands of years no collect 10%.
He proved that. He proved it because
it's all about money. Church is business, big business. One day gonna open up a big church too, big one. Cause everything is free. Think about it. It's big. It's big business. They get free cars. They put up in a house to live for free. All kind of stuff.
But I speaking still on a serious part of the spiritual, because even though they're
not go against the system, King. They're not go against the system.
I think that the individuality of the people itself, even the members of them, because society stand up long time ago. When Rastas used to get abused by Babylon and police, I think society stands still and humble for too long. It should have.
What you say? What you say? No matter.
The reality is, they use. You see, we as Rastafari was used as the weapon.
Of course.
To help. To instill in their people's mind how terrible and how wicked this thing, because remember, it's cannabis they use to criminalize Rasta, Rasta ain't criminals, Rasta wanna rob nobody and thief nobody and taking up anything from anybody. The only crime they say we commit is because they make this plant a criminal, a crime.
Yes.
And we use it. And so then they use to make we an example for it. So all of that is part of the brainwash, and that is why it is so difficult for the people after they done use us, showing them
yes, son.
This is what we're gonna do with our youth.
That's not the only crime. That's not the only crime I gotta back up there. You got locks in your head, you got a lot of hair in your face like Jesus, and you got the herb.
Yeah.
And then you eat rabbit food. So a lot of stuff we're doing
legally, Banky.
Yes.
Because they done release the Dread Act in Dominican Sound. So the locks. Yeah, I was looking more in terms of legal crime.
Yes.
According to their laws. So man, all of that. The ital food,
everything.
Wearing African clothes and the talking.
Everything.
Back to Africa and the reparation talk and all of that. Them they like a bad word to them, right? But the point I'm making is that they use cannabis.
Of course.
The cannabis is what they use to criminalize Rasta. So it is really, really necessary for the re-education, and that is why a lot of people still have that fear. And that is also, Banky, why I am calling up, because Bora, if you really watch what is happening right here, right now, our panel right now is Rastafari. So that is why I'm saying we still want them who were doing it to us to come out and to help to take the fear out of the people, because the people at some points, the people still kind of got the fear against us, even though they kind of appreciate us and open to us a little bit still. They still kind of have them kind of stigma, because it's hard after you done.
How much churches do we have in the Federation of St. Kitts and Nevis? Church are built still. So how much churches do we have? St. Nevis about 90. How much in St. Kitts? Over 100. Which one pastor here come out and talk about herb? Which one they have the guts to come out and speak good about the herb? Which one? Do you think about it? Which one? Only the premier up here talk about herb. None of the other members of cabinet them talking about the herb. That this thing shows you a lot how these people mind frame is.
The Prime Minister, to me, I could see the passion he have for it.
Yeah, but those are just two. You see what I mean? But in Navy is part of it, just to show you, if only the premier himself, unless the premier tell them don't talk about it, that's the only thing we can say. Let him be the head man to speak about it. Cause why would not nobody you're moving towards something? Why not you engage on a level of conversation? This don't make no sense. So sometimes, yes, go ahead.
Banky, as Ella Maccabi was saying when he was speaking earlier about, because as he was saying, we have to make the moves them ourselves, because until you to it, we still don't want these guys to like set the trend or set the path, because until you, I don't even like the fact that these men should have anything to come out of it for them, because for the years they've been persecuting us for, I would think that they should totally not have anything to do with it in terms of the financial benefits. And this is what we even check. This is why we have the event coming up on the LEM. It's about a lot of things that the ISM just is saying is to educate the people. We educate the people, one, and not just only about the herb, but even about the history.
Yes.
And we want to highlight Bob Marley and the same too, because we see Bob Marley as one of the pioneers that fight for all of this in those days and those times, because even the name Kaya, what we're trying to carry as the heading of the event. He sing this song in those times. It was real fire burning, you know.
Yes, I.
Because they were getting more persecution in those times than today.
True.
So you only could see that at those days, these songs they wasn't that simple. Today they're simple to us, but in those times there was real rebellious song. There was song that Babylon, if you could have get a spite by just having them song playing in your house.
And if
So
you
I was
listen,
saying,
and if you listen how they sometimes if they would interview Marley and how they speak of Marley, the interviewer, and they always speak to Marley will have to dread them in a mystic way. When they come into him in a kind of way, you see what I mean? Let him know, you understand, his approach and whatever, and set them straight, because that's the kind of person Marley was. You see? But
he did fight, and and we have to recognize the elder races them in our community them who were persecuted for it and who had to go through everything for it, because today ain't just about making the money, but we have to still remember those that went through that.
Of course, you can't forget.
Sanko for Maccabee, I think we have to still recognize Sanko for Maccabee effort. I mean, I know he don't like to speak from the angle, but I think
well, Sanko was supposed to be made a national hero.
Yeah,
It's stupidness.
Yeah, but you know what?
A lot of men don't burn a lot of fire higher than that day. It's just because of the hope.
No,
And we just
fire higher than that. Fire higher than
that. One thing about Rasta. Rasta never accepted that line.
Sankofa,
it's true.
Burning fire all the time.
Yeah, but remember, your son, as Sankofa said, we never abide and said, because we always know the herb is that legal, illegal, We are stand for the herb and make sure we lock up and that's it. We never.
They got allowed that if you use it, you're going to go jail and you still.
I'm not take on that. We pay with fines. We take with lock up, pay with fines, whatever it is.
We never put the government to the test. Yes. And we always knew that would work. Even as a group, we should have been going forward there, but since I had the case out, they man let me go forward with the case and done still. So it's like.
But the problem I have with that.
The reality is that the case was important.
Yes.
But what I'm showing you now is like the opportunity now is there for us to legally do what we couldn't do. So our output should be greater.
Yes,
so
true.
We have to utilize the opportunity now, because when we are talking about this big marketing, when these white men come and all these other men come.
You see, that's the problem. You see, and that is the problem I have there.
Money gonna come, money gonna go.
Yeah, but why they have to come? But why do they have to come? That's the problem. Why do people have to come?
Just say that they just out of saying it.
Well, what you say makes sense, but it's true to speaking.
Right?
Yes.
Is that this is our time now to deal with this thing. And we shouldn't let year pass by just complaining and saying this and the system. I understand everything what the them say and I agree with it. I'm not saying I disagree.
Of
but
course.
In between the time that when the man get things right, let me give thanks for this opportunity here and just deal with the herbs. Because in all the time we used to deal with the herbs, sometimes it's a backlog.
Mm-hmm.
And right now there ain't much backlog. So
Yes,
we
I.
got to give thanks for even just that. You see it?
But remember, the man them not does no favor, Remember, let me state the man them not does no favor, So we not does no favor, cause we never abide by the rules. So we not does no favor. So we want to make that clear.
Exactly.
Cause like my preacher more legacy, but I ask man, I'm working with you, boy. They not work with me. You not work with me.
Yeah.
So I can clarify things. Let me take this car.
I wanna just plug something for the event.
Hold the thought, Sankofa. Sankofa, hold the thought. Let me get in a call here, and then you plug.
And what about the comment you say you had to deal with?
Yeah. Hold on.
A couple other things. Yeah.
Carlo, good evening.
Joy and peace in the love of the Almighty Creator, God of my Highness, last year. The first and Hawaii Highness is the blessed night to all ones on the platform.
Greetings.
The wisdom, so now greetings. Yeah, because I didn't add to what was taken in the discussion. Now we have to look at some of the measures, not just for economical purposes, but ways that we can find better results within how we could stabilize the growth of our natural plant. Because remember, still on the content, some of these seeds are injected to, so we got to be cautious. But you emphasize about your stage, the stage in the ground to secure seeds. And so I hope you're making in a see from our seeds,
Go ahead.
He gone?
I'm not sure, but continue speaking.
Basically, I would just like to find sure that I have a lot more to really limitate it in what I take to this industry, because I would like to say any rich man or rich woman who feel like they is the most prominent dealer when it comes to the use of herb, when they were one who were fighting and chastising the same herb. And when we look at the same statement was made in the last Parliament sitting in December, when the Prime Minister of St. Kitts said they also had the herb as a give me an insight again. You understand the word he used?
Poison.
The word is poison. So you see, is the formation that they use in that category to say that herb is that label, and now they try to move it away from that label, but still have it as their law that they're protecting with those international partners, especially US and the European nations. Because unto this day, even countries like Russia and them, they are sentence people for her within a certain kind of like you get months or you get in like 12 years according to the quantity that they take from you. Me don't want to see people in these kind of categories living like so, because herb's supposed to be fit to every human being. We don't say smoke herb like I and I smoke, but it's supposed to be free. And that's the essence of the nature of what the herb is about. Free will. Let us study the herb wisely. Because the people that want to come down here with that kind of studies and say that they got this in scientific proof. But when you look at the natural proof, we show them we are, they still want to be amazed, but still want to fight it. And we say to all the police and the army man who still take up people herb, leave the people with the herb alone, man. Let us have a reason that we could be able to emphasize the studies around here, so we don't have this kind of chastise against our people. I mean, looking to wonder we could get economical, we look to know how to be stabilized in St. Kitts and in the world. Because anyway, me travel, I have to walk with the herb, I mean, I have to walk with the herb.
Yep.
So, Brother Blanky,
yes,
keep your movements going. Brother Yassad, keep the movements going. Bora, keep the movements going. Keep the movements going, because we have to reach out there to the young ones them to let them have an over of what herb and alcohol cannot combine together, because we're going to have a different faction. And that's my view. Give thanks.
Give thanks, Aya.
Yes, sir.
Yes, on your,
Banky, I
any
just
comments? You get any comments?
I'm going to follow up with a little point here, and then I'm going to, go through some of the comments on the page before I get back to the program. Right?
Sound good.
Sankofa, I am fully and 100% in agreement with your position in terms of Rastafari. If it is from a Rastafari perspective, Rastafari who has been given the credence and the clearance in terms of cannabis to move forward with the cannabis industry. Don't wait for nothing, because y'all got special provisions. They have made special provisions for Rastafari. So
Yes, I.
that need to be made clear,
Yeah,
that
man.
Rastafari have the rights to do that. And so
No hold
if the
bars.
public if the public in terms of Rastafari was not aware, you know, this is something that, yes, I am for that 100%. However, in terms of the context that we use and the program, is that it is also now deemed an agricultural crop.
Yes, I.
So we also want to inform those other local people who may be interested, you know, in doing what they're doing also, that they can also and should also take the opportunity before, as we talk about those other international investors come in, because we have a national crisis. We're talking about food security. We're talking about making the standard of living better for the average individual. So yes, we want the Rastafari community to benefit, but in terms of our standpoint from the program is a holistic. So yes, we definitely pushing for the Rastafari, but I want also to, for example, I am here, I could set up a farm, and my suppose my mom or one of my sisters want to get into, I want them to not just listen to me because I say, okay, as a Rasta, I might tell them, man, yeah, I could do this thing. But if they hear it from who they elect and those from the authority and so on, they would have more strength than, you know, the average people who might be on the border of, you know, seeking to do this. Remember, like I said, a 4 Rasta man here on this panel right now, you know, so they done got the buyer stores already, you know. So, I mean, but as I said, that's just a position in terms of bringing across that point. Before I get back to you, Banky, let me just go through some of the comments. We got Gwen Williams, good night to the host of Everything Agriculture, our listeners and viewers. We got Joy King saying good night, everyone. Brenda Lee, good evening to Banky and hosts. Aaron, Atto Heiliger, greetings all. It's been a while, I haven't logged into Everything Agriculture. Blessings. We got Tillyman, Hail Up Banky and Yason. Mona Davis, good evening, everyone. Then we had Burl, BG Jones, good evening, fellas. From that talk show on Sin Kids earlier, it's really bad. It's quite evident to me there is a grand disconnection between the agriculture ministers and ministry and the farmers. He made another point. He says, it seems like these two factions are at war. The politicians say one thing and the farmers saying that, I should be saying another. There is no unison at all. But in my opinion, if agriculture failed during this administration, the people just need to replace them. That's it. Then he continued by saying, it appears that the politicians setting up the farmers, when 2025 get here, like I said before, they're going to announce that they achieved the 25 by 25 goal, but not doing the necessary work right now. We have Leston, Nicholas Lacton, Rutland Hill saying, good evening all. Burl B. Jones again said, the Rastaman then just need to unite and take control of the industry. Echoing what Sankofa said. I said this before as well. Can't wait on the government. Then Burl B.J. Jones again said, the minister's intention is to bring in the foreigners to control that industry. When they do start it up, so it still shows some discrimination against Rastafari all this time. And then finally we had Amethyst Stanley logging in, saying good evening, Everything Agriculture, and the listeners. And then we had Urban Loibert and Carlisle Paris also logged in, and some of the others. So we just make sure that the brethren and the platform we kind of give.
Yes, son. You have a call coming in. So let me take this call.
Take the call, yeah.
Call, good evening.
Good night, Banky. This is Kevin. I'm here listening.
Hey, what's up, Kevin?
Yeah. Good night, your son.
Good night.
You want to make you're listening? You want to make a contribution to the show?
Yeah.
Go ahead.
You make contribution.
No, if you want to say something about the importance of food security or something like that as a young person, what do you think about food security on the island of St. Kitts and Nevis?
Food security is having access to food.
And how important is it when you go off food? You want to talk about that from a young person point of view, where it is important.
Why is important to have physical this so we can grow and have good health.
All right, beautiful. All right.
Right.
Thanks for listening. Thanks for calling, Kevin. Big up yourself.
Yeah. Yeah.
All right. Here we have a young
Yes, I
caller.
want to make up. Oh, you have an next caller?
No, go ahead, Sankover. No, that's good. I was just saying, had a young caller
Yeah,
there.
yes, sir.
Mm-hmm.
I give thanks to even hear the youth them come forward and bring forward a message still.
Yes.
Short and sweet still. Yeah, and simple, because the simplest thing sometimes is the most significant thing still.
Definitely.
So we give thanks. Father is always in the midst of I and I, you know. We got to always maintain that we are live by a order. So we can't really worry too much about other things. We know that it's important to balance the food with the herb because one, you know, the as Boa say, if any higher percentage would have been the food because the food is a necessity for
Of
I and I
course.
to eat.
Mm-hmm.
You see? But I still want to just show you that what Gideon Force trying to do on the 11th of September with the Kaya market, right, is that we have about 4 organic markets that we do throughout the year. We're celebrating May 5th, the Ethiopian Hola Strong, doing around Bob Marley Earth Strong to around these times still in February, but we use the 11th because you know OIU have the meeting time and we ourselves still had to give more time to organize ourselves still, and we didn't want too much conflict because we know when others have something and another person have something, sometimes it creates a confusion and a tension. And the reality is that we use this timing still, but it's an event that we always have in the first week in February. It's a community event. It's an event where we share information with the community, whether it's through edification. We also usually have 1 or 2 presentation concerning the herb. We are also going to have Banky there with his good high grades. We're going to also have Gideon Force with their good high grades. And other farmers still, we might invite, and we already have forward coming still, you know, Shabazz, and that's Yubanki, and still we have another brethren there. You know, I know him as Go Back still, but he come by another name. And so all that they're gonna be presented in the Herbal Corner. And that's where you're gonna get a lot of education. We're gonna have videos from different races in the area and races from outside of St. Kitts still talking about the herb and how it was basically in their area. And within that there now you get a perspective to see where we're going throughout the Caribbean still. So we're gonna have that aspect of CMS still. We're gonna have a demonstration still too, how to extract the oil as usual, different farm. This time Banky ain't gonna be making the presentation, but Banky will be there with the high grade still.
Well, my presentation, I'll have presentation, but I'll deal with as usual.
Yeah, presentation gonna be more personal.
Safety when it comes to pest and disease control of the plant and stuff like that, and how to identify pest and what we'll do with the pest instead of those kind of demonstration and stuff like that. Yeah.
Yeah. So you're gonna be doing that to the customers, them that coming around, or the people who coming around to see his plants, them and
no, they come to buy plants. It's like you're coming to buy plants, or you're coming to yeah, that's what you come to buy a lime tree, you come to buy a cannabis plant. You go home and you take care of the plant and you nurture it for the next 8 weeks to 12 weeks and put in your energy, and that's where you go. Yeah.
And we're gonna have different vendors still because it's really an organic market, so we're gonna always have food. So we're gonna be doing the balancing there with the food. We're gonna have a lot of vegetables organically grown from the farm itself for us to use, and we're gonna have a variety of vendors that are gonna give you a variety of different type of vending material, such as arts and craft. We're gonna have food. We're gonna have actually food you can eat as well too. Different vendors with vegan pizzas, and some people do have their little cheese pizzas, same as still, and different a variety of different things gonna be there for us to partake in. You're gonna have Sugartown Organics, Judah Farai. You're gonna have different vendors. Even Nature's Best from Neve is gonna be there too. And in the herbal corner, you're gonna have Ras Banky, Gideon Force, and other um, Nubian and his products, as well as another brethren who was there at the Cannibalist called
Yeah,
Bevan
samples.
Samples. So for
Virgin
everything
Manly,
selling
est
seeds, showing their products,
est-ce que
different.
Interps gonna link up with me same too? Est-ce que Interps my boy Manly?
Yeah.
Yeah, so he
Yeah.
gonna come through and link up by my table same way. So
So we're
a good
gonna have
turnout. A good turnout.
we're gonna actually have a area there where you could actually have a local lounge in the same area, in a similar area close by to where that the showcase room is, you know. So we're looking to see this thing go on good still, and we're gonna also have a one or two artists still. You know, it ain't gonna be as much as before, but we're gonna definitely have some artists, and it's just a way of gathering the people them together, and just showcasing each other's skills and talents still. And it's like it's a trade market, so it's like you buy something from me, then I would walk around and I would buy something from you, and we make sure that economics go on as well too. That's the reality of it still. So while there's the learning, and DJ Slaughter gonna be the one giving us the music, Bill of Vibes sound still. You know, so we ask that the community come forward and support this event. Is an educational event as well as a musical event, artistic event still, and you also have an agricultural event, you know, which is the most important aspect of the event itself. And during the agricultural event, being the kaya, the herb is part of agriculture, we're gonna just feature that there and this CMS still. So we ask the general public to come forward and support the energy still. Is Tiwaladi House of David is our spiritual foundation for Gideon Force. So there will also be some Nyabingi drummings, poetry, and other things still. So is a communal event, as I said earlier, still, and it still have a spiritual foundation back in it. So we ask that Father just bless the event and bless everyone that come forward to participate and to be part of the event. We give thanks.
Yes.
And to string the elder,
And
to string with the elder statesman.
this is on the 11th of February from about 3 o'clock. Even on the flyer said 2, we're going to start at 3 anyway. So try be there before 3. Give thanks.
And it's Black History Month in February, and we also want to recognize, you know, the challenges that we had over the years, not just the slave movement, but our history as a people. So we're gonna have people who will be there, at least somebody or two will be speaking a little bit about our past history, because we have to always remember, we have to always make sure the youth them have a sense of, you know, who we are as a people, where we're coming from, where we went through, and where we hope to reach at the end of all of this, you know. So we still want to reflect a little on our Black history and that particular day and the event itself. And I must say, what we're trying to do here is not only to just do it for that day, but we want to connect customers with the vendors them, because we realizing our health problem is growing worse and worse every year, and we have to find the right connection with these vendors, because you have some good vendors that will have products that you know, I think that it could be useful to our health benefits, you know. So we hoping that we could connect, you know, people have issues with, you know, health problems that they want to improve, and the way they eat or they drink, they can come out and they can reason with the vendors them. The vendors them have a lot of knowledge to share about, you know, if you have some ailments, you know, certain sickness that you would like to talk about. We have more like John Luton is a young doctor still,
yes,
in the herbal way. These guys will not be there, and I think it's a good way to meet these brethren and to have this one-on-one conversation, and also to see some of our techniques and the Gideon Force organic, because when you look at sustainable agriculture, we think if it's not in an organic environment, it's impossible. And so when we hear people saying sustainable, and then they're talking from maybe like technology and AI, we know that is just, you know, like the delusion technically, but we know the reality to sustainable is what God gives to us, because that's the only thing really is sustainable. So we at the Gideon, we still have the farm should be there, and and a sense of a display where you can come and you can copy our ideas. We have them there secretly for ourselves, but we are asking people to copy some of our ideas how to deal with more of a sustainable agriculture, because we can see the challenges right now we're facing. Like to say last year, how hard the year would have been. So we have certain techniques that we are using on our farm to improve during these hot climates. So we still asking farmers, and people, agriculturalists who have the interest into improving their method and their technical farming. These are little areas that you can come and you can still actually learn different to all that the elders just speak of. So we encouraging those who have the time, to just come out, and you don't have to be there for the whole day, but we ask you to interact when you come to ask questions if you really want to know. Because and in the area where the herbs will be, we want to have a chat about the different strain of herbs in terms of the sativa and the indica, to say which best to grow in our area, as in the tropical areas, and why maybe the indica is much shorter, why the sativa is much taller, and what to expect from in terms of when you smoke it. Because we have these little ideas, because we are rastas, we've been smoking for some years, so we have the experience of some of these strains that we have, and we could also identify what is hybrid, what is our local strain, and what is GMO seeds, because we have to still give that the education to everything in terms of the negative stuff, to like the GMO seeds, and that we can never have a one of us, and we should pray that they will never be a part of the industry. We have to still bring those sort of information, and the hybrid them. We have to be careful also with the hybrid them, because we have to make sure that the crossing of these chain don't really at the long term give us any real effect. And we have to be able to still maintain our local. I think we have to work a lot more on holding our local. If we have any local strain that are left, we need to really secure it and try to build upon that as our foundation of a strain. So yeah, we hoping that from that market there, we hoping that could help strengthen the way forward in terms of what the elder says, that we should come together and go forward. We think that that's our part in a little nutshell that we want to help in terms of Rastafari moving forward with these different areas, agriculture, the herbs, and even I history as a Rasta people. Because we have to make sure when we're teaching about herbs and food, we must always give the people them a sense of identity, to let them understand why it's important for us also to even do these things because of where we are coming from. So history is something that we always want to carry when we have these events, so that we can always teach our people. So, we just say thanks again to Banky for having I on, and thanks to the elder. I mean, I haven't seen him, and good to still hear his voice, and even to recognize that he's still on the level out in foreign. And even Elder Maccabee, who has been a champion for the herbs movement for all these years. ORU, I must big up ORU too. I think that we have this conversation. I think ORU did a lot of work over the years. When people weren't really studying it, I think these guys at ORU did a tremendous work. They always keep it together, and I think ORU deserve a respect to in the long run, as we have to remember ORU effort for the years that they put into. So I say thanks to the brothers of ORU, the elders, the sisters, the youths, who really work tirelessly. And sometimes we don't recognize them, because sometimes it's how we live still. But I think that these brethren here did a lot for helping us where we are today. So yeah, man, bless the love to our Rastas, the elders, them who struggled in the past, who had to fight the good fight and keep the fight going. Man, I will give much love and respect to our elders, not Rastas and non-Rastas, because it ain't just about Rastas, it's about a people still. Even though we're holding down the faith and the culture of INI people, is all of us on the same mission. So yeah, thanks again once more, and bless the love every time.
Beautiful. Yes, son?
Yes, sir. I support, Rasbora, 100%, especially in terms of recognizing ORU and the contribution of ORU over the years. It has gone by, yes, to some extent unrecognized. But I give thanks also to see that it has, kept on, through the struggles and through all the years. We at this point and is not talking about ORU in the past. We're talking about ORU as present and still active and still making significant contributions. And in that breath, I also, while I'm on the floor, I want to take a little minute to go back to something that I think maybe flew over our ears earlier on when Sankofa made his opening remarks. I think it is something that is quite significant, and it's something that we definitely need to bring to a reality. The point where he said that from a Rastafari perspective, Rastafari need to come together and write something, put something in writing in regards to their position in terms of the youths and what's going on with crime and the crime and violence in the country, and document it. And I want to also add to that, after documenting it, also find some ways of making it public, because I think sometimes us as Rastafari and the contributions that Rastafari is making and has been making over the years sometimes do not necessarily get the recognition, because sometimes too we tend to just, humble ourselves and just take it humble, and sometimes don't put what we do out there. For example, in terms of the cannabis, when the cannabis fight was going on, there was a document paper that was presented from Rastafari to the government, but that document was never necessarily out to the public for the public to really recognize. Well, when you hear Rastafari out here making the arguments and making the presentation, they're just coming out of thin air. See, we made a presentation here. See a document here that we tell them, not just, we're talking now. We tell them this already, and there's document to show that this is what we said, but this is what they went and do on their own. So things like that. So, maybe as we move on, we might need to really consider having a PR or, putting things out there as to make sure that it cements our contribution, because we're definitely making contribution behind the scenes. And I think a lot of people sometimes don't recognize that we do those kinds of things, the technical and the legal, taking it from that perspective and really approaching those who we should approach. And it's not just, we're just talking on the side, So I just wanted to add that little point there in terms of that, so that people recognize that, yes, from a Rastafari perspective, we don't condone the crime and we don't condone what is going on, and we're going to document our position on that. And so I give thanks for that, Sankofa, and I just wanted the public, if they didn't hear it up front, that they hear it now, and that is Rastafari position.
Nice. So, Sankofa, Yason, so, well, we just touch the 2025 agenda, which is important, because it's along the same line when it comes to, as we talk about, we need to see more food. So, what are the odds we're going to accomplish this 2025 agenda? Because this month don't finish, so we're into the 11th month, basically. So, how can this thing be achieved? And that is just 2025, 2026, 2027, and beyond. You see what I mean? So, we really have to have a plan, a 5-year plan, a 10-year plan, and do a forward when it comes to, because with all this stuff going on around the world, when it comes to wars and at the same time pesticides, residue is still, an overuse of fertilizers is still a big deal when it comes to the food industry. And you have to move towards the cannabis industry. And one of the main problems in the cannabis industry, which you find, is pesticide residue. So with all these tight regulation that is in place, well, it's still not work. you see what it's obviously not work, because when you go and you find all these heavy pesticide use, and these things still affect the individual them using these herbs. So it shows along the line when it comes to the 2025 agenda, we must have something in place to make sure the food is safe also. But we're not speaking on that part of it. All the discussion that is going, safety is not seem not to be part of the agenda. So that need to be a part of the discussion with the 2025 agenda, and also the cannabis part of it, because you're not hearing, you don't hear nothing about these things, because we tend to look at the money part of it, but safe down the road, you don't want to have your people using any product, whether it's banana, whether it's tomatoes, bell peppers, cannabis, Safety is key. 'Cause you will get pest, and if you listen to a lot of these radio shows, and when you come to the agriculture department and the farmers, they keep making talking about there are no chemicals there. So it shows that the amount of overuse of herbicides and pesticides that have been used within the federation, and then with all these hotels we keep bringing in all this golf course, and is a lot of use of fertilizers, synthetic fertilizers, and pesticides and herbicides. This is a serious system. So environment and health and all them need to look into all these different stuff. So it's not just the farmers, homeowners. They use 7, highly toxic, and most Caribbean people think 7 is safe. Highly toxic. You still have the lanate that people use to it's insecticide people use to poison people, animals and stuff like that, but people still use it's an insecticide people still use on their crops. You see what I mean? But you're not hearing this conversation with I guess you're gonna hear it from the agriculture department, I guess. But only we speak about these things. So we got to speak about safety. We have to have a campaign about safety and putting out safe food within the environment, because stuff we just use too much. Too much. And Sankofa, you work in the department, and you know, with someone tell you spray a crop every 7 days just to prevent pests. Even if you don't have the pests on the plant, just spray it just to prevent, just in case. It's like an insurance. Or paying insurance just in case you get in an accident, but you never get in an accident, but you're not. You see what I mean? But at the same time, with the pesticides, you're harming the environment because you're just overusing these stuff. I remember one time being at a workshop, and it was a chemical workshop when it comes to pesticides and rodenticide and all this different stuff like that, and herbicides. And someone was telling the presenter, well, they will tell the farmers to spray every 7 days. So the presenter said every 7 days. Well, if a 30-day crop, 60 days, 90 days crop, 12 weeks, you're gonna tell them spray the crop 12 times. If you ain't say one pest, they say really just to prevent. It's a preventative measure. It's crazy. They say that's madness. Yeah. Madness. But these are how some will still give information to farmers, and farmers will take this information and do what they say. So it shows. It depends on who giving who the information, but at the end of the day, people still do what they want, and that's the sad thing about it. So, and the whole, whatever you do in that environment, gonna affect someone with wind drift 2 miles, 3 miles, 4 miles down the road, but people don't look at stuff like that. It's Sankofa.
Yeah, well, Banky, I would say I give thanks for the opportunity all the time to reason with you,
Every time.
Productive individuals still.
Give thanks.
And I'm thinking communion, like I say, you still should come more around still. And everybody have their corner still, but we give thanks that you're taking the time out to even cross the borders.
Of course.
Still.
Yes,
and come to the event, so we give thanks for that. Yes, on your way out there still, I hope you're picking up on the industry and all levels still, so that when you come forward, you bring certain information so we can, be able to produce something, from the herb, not just be talking, but be able to produce something from the herb.
So Sankofa, question: Can this event be Zoom? Can you get this event set up to be live?
One of the elders gonna think about bringing certain parts of the event live.
Okay, nice, so, good.
And LA God is good for them things.
All right, nice. So good.
He might be looking into doing that there still. But I will give thanks still for Tafari input. Very, very balanced, very educational CMS still too. But I still the only one part is just sometimes it's like we can't look for Babylon to come forward to certain things, because how Babylon set, they only do things for fame, for fortune, for money. And Chivastan depend that there's always gonna be some level of clash. So that so it would have been they're gonna have to, it's not even their responsibility. We know our people. We know what's good for them. We see them every day. We check on them if we are good neighbors, So I think we have to educate our people
and show them that the herb's safe by the way that we live. You see it? And be able to explain to them when you see certain people look like they're not doing so well with the herb, you just ask them, do they drink? Do they smoke other drugs? Do they deal with do they smoke drugs? I should say, because if I say other drugs, I will be including marijuana. So do they smoke drugs? And all these do they smoke other things with the herb? You know, you have to ask them all these questions, because a man who just using herb by himself would be different in character and in nature than a man who gonna be just using herb with alcohol, because it's the effect of the other thing that gonna create the problem. It's not have nothing to do with the herb.
Yes,
So
sir.
we know got to be able to make these simple points to them and show them in the ghetto like how it is directly. And we're not trying to encourage everybody to use the herb neither, because the reality of life is that everybody ain't gonna deal with the herb, because some people have this um this element about it from way back that they don't want to change their perspective, and we can't do nothing about that. So I say we just go forward, do what we have to do. Don't try to um like, if somebody don't want to deal with it, don't try to force it upon them. It's better to allow them to see the heights and then deal with the energy. And ain't everybody have to smoke herb neither, because there's so much other things to deal with the herb rather than smoking. And they still could use it, because Father say it's for us to use. He didn't specify what use, so that basically give us any kind of use. So I feel like we should just step up in that area there and focus on the energy that Father gave us, the plant free for us to use, you know. So it's like that's very important, because if Father set a garden and then he gives us different type of plants and he tell you this to deal with this, and this is for that, and this is for this purpose, then you'll have an understanding, and the understanding they go forward from since that time until this time. You know, everything that Father create having a similar genetic makeup and structure, even if that is a vegetarian, when it come to say human and animals, flesh and blood now, is a similar. Just like they will need carbon, oxygen, and hydrogen to survive, and nitrogen, the four elements, you know, strong elements of the earth still. It's like it's the same thing. The plants need it, the animals need it, and still, you know, certain aspect in the of the earth atmosphere need it as well, same as still. So everything Father create, he have a receptor in our body that actually take it and then make food and medicine out of it in our body. Simple as that. Everything is not just marijuana. You see, there's receptors for all the different elements in the plants them, and some plants having the same type of element in it, same as still, but these things are automatically done set in my body. That's a come with our genetic information. So if we see the depths of how an order come from a seed, where there is a male seed, because only man have seed, you see it, all the genetic information in the seed them, and then the woman come forward with the egg, and they come forward together, and it's so it is in the plants, the animal, and the tree. Babylon now I try to create everything seedless. They want to do everything just by cuttings. Imagine if we just do by cuttings and we don't get back no male trees by the cuttings all the time and no breeding going on. And something happened to all the cuttings, and the tree that you, the last tree that was standing for the cutting, also dies, and you didn't have no seed saved. What would happen to the breed? The breed dead. So that's why we always gonna need to have seeds, because the seed is what have the information. The seed is what bring the energy towards the whole end product. You see it? So give thanks, my brethren, give thanks for the opportunity.
Beautiful. Bora, are you there?
Yeah, blessed, I'm still here.
All right. You want to give a wrap up, a final thoughts for those who are listening?
Well, I mean, I will just say to people, as the elder was trying to emphasize about the importance of reflecting upon what Father give to us already as the sustainable way out. As you were speaking about the 25 by 2025 program to come for next year, and you was kind of tend to look at how that could affect us and how if we are ready to deal with it. I think that, as I said earlier, the only sustainable way is to do it in an organic environment. If we defeat all of these other side effects of using synthetic fertilizer and using pesticide, insecticide, fungicide, herbicide that we see right now, most of the cancers them that we have, is coming from the food that we eat, the seed and that we're sourcing, as the other was saying. Have to think about a seed bank, because if we don't have the seed them to continue and have them by a certain amount of quantity, we ain't really saying nothing in terms of a consistency, because that means while we are saying we're going to really have this 25 by 25, what happened in 2026? We have to go and purchase back all these seeds to we do that again. So, and then who controls seed, control the whole farm agriculture movement.
Yes, I.
So we be realistic about our way forward. We should definitely work on a seed bank for our federation, Sinkers and Navies. I mean, we need to source a lot of our long term what we call home seed, like what we call like our, I don't even know what to you, but seed that we had from a long time, that belongs to our, like to say our country, and try to
Heirloom.
heirloom. Try not to really depend too much on the hybrid.
Yes.
What we have to have a seed bank. I think a seed bank not only for the food, also for the cannabis. But I mean, as I speak for the food, I think that a seed bank is something that even if the government don't do it, I think Rastas have to find a way to really have that coming together.
Beautiful.
I think we need to do it, Banky.
Sound good.
From this point of view, use the man over there, I say right now, carrying that kind of energy, I think you have to set it from the ends and find a way for us over here to collaborate, and let me look at having a seed bank as soon as possible, so we could really have the consistency. That's my way for 25-25. The monkey issue is another issue, but I think that the seed is important to have, and we have to rely upon our own seed. So that will be my last, and I just want to say thanks for having I and I again, and blessed to all those people who listening, especially those people in Nevis. Banky man give thanks, and Yashan man give thanks to hear the advice and to have this chance to reason with the elders, them, even Elder Maccabee. And I must say thanks to Ella Maccabee also for inviting me and bringing me here. And good night to everybody, as we just say, and have a blessed week. And may the Father again and protect Isaiah and I travel through and for
Nice.
Yes.
Your son.
Yeah, well, Banky, it is just quite refreshing hearing two other voices echoing, some of the things that we do present.
Yes, I.
On a regular, so it's really, really a pleasure also hearing Rasbora as well. It's really been some time. I mean, all of us, as you talk about ORU is responsible for bringing us even closer, because I guess we probably would have known each other before, because I think I knew Sankofa before, but I think it's ORU I met Rasbora, and ever since, the relationship grew, and we continue, doing things here and there, and, keeping the meditation flowing. So it's like, it's like us, this is how we used to be, brethren. We're not there physically, but
Yes,
we're sitting and holding a meditation like elders would do, So I give thanks for the opportunity and be able to share it with the globe as well, to give them an opportunity, and for the youths to see that, we might not necessarily have the same viewpoints, and we might not necessarily agree on all things, but we are able still to put across our points and have our differences without, resorting to violence, or resorting to anger, resorting to killing each other, So that is something that I think I highlighted also in our previous discussion. I think that is something that is lacking, that ability for the youths to reason. And one of my suggestions then was, and still is, to seek to find ways to create opportunities for the youths in schools to debate more, have them debate some of the discussions that sometimes maybe they might not want to address, whether it's reparations, whether it is if we want to have a president, if we want to move away from being a republic, whatever some of these discussions are. But what that would do for the youths is give them that opportunity to be able to have discourse and learning to have what we consider conflict resolution, being able to disagree and agree and be able to have that level from a youth going up, so that when they go out in the community now and they have these differing points, they can continue in that sort of realm. So that's just a little suggestion that I had. I want to say give thanks to the folks listening, via the BVI link up, those in Tatola, St. Thomas and Croix, wherever they are, log on via Flow and Digicel link up. The folks who usually log on the platform. Probably before I wrap up, I might just get in a few of the last comments that we didn't get in.
Yes.
We have, I think the last one was Amethyst, and then we have Jetty Taylor. Jetty Taylor say, what's the deal with Sankofa hide like Alexis? Somebody said that's very funny. I don't know if Sankofa would get it, but anyway, he says Zook behind the soursop tree, Sankofa behind some kind of bush. And then we have good Civilian Stapleton saying good evening everyone. I guess he's one of our usual listeners and
from St. Martin,
St. Martin. Now and again. But yeah, so Sankofa, we do take time out to pay attention to our listeners and viewers on the wall. Sometimes they don't call in, but they play a real significant part to the discourse. They would sometimes put in their questions or the little comments and so. And it's nothing disrespectful that they have said about you. So even though you might not know, I could let you know that it's not necessarily disrespectful.
Yes,
it's maybe political, but not necessarily disrespectful. It's a little joke they're making using.
Yeah, I understand what they're saying still, because me not really know to change it. So I still I would have changed it long time, but me don't want
No, man, don't
it's
worry
safe,
about
man.
it, man.
That's
It's cool.
safe.
It's cool.
I
It's
don't want
understandable.
this
Like I tell you.
2 hours because I worry about that they know. But
Yes, I am.
Listen.
Joke,
We
like
would have had a
joke,
very Sankofa. We would have had a very serious discussion, right? So that was just like what we consider the little light moment, So we had a whole serious discussion, and that's just a little light moment at the end to just break off the little seriousness. But give thanks, people. I'm sorry. Well, before I end up again, another person, Bobby Jones, added that can be a topic to debate at the next Leeward Island debate, whether the island should collectively move to a republic state. I think, for me personally, I think we need to address that before we even take it to the Leeward Islands. We need to be engaged in that discussion, because for me, I think it's nearly 2 years now, a year and plus, since the Prime Minister would have made that announcement saying that during his term, that is something that he is going to move towards. However, we are not getting such a positive response from the Nevis end. And so all of these I am saying are reasons why I think that discussion needs to be placed on the table. And then the fact that some may be of the view, because I think that's the argument that I'm hearing from the Nevis side, that it's just removing the Governor General and then replacing it with a president, and it's just a ceremonial move. And what is really the use of that? But then there's also the other argument where it does not necessarily have to be a ceremonial president. We can also have an executive president with the responsibility similar to the American president. And so these are some of the discussions that could be placed on the table, and how, if these things are not placed on the table and so on, and what are the implications of even something like that. Because if you have a president that is an executive president, then it means that president would have more power than the prime minister and also the premier. And so, would they really want to make that move unless one of them would be in that position? So these are some of the things, like I said, these things really need to be debated and discussed and, be a part of the community. Reparations. I am not hearing anything from the government on this issue, when I have seen Barbados would have made a claim based on some research that was done, and they have said that these territories, if they were supposed to be given reparations, this is the kind of money that they should be given. And Barbados would have already went to England and made a claim based on that research. I have not heard anything from our people, even in terms of the discussion and that debate, right? While, other countries and other territories are making those kind of moves. So these are some of the things as well that could be as a part of that debate and those debates and discussions that will empower our people and our youths and help to curb, like I said, because I think some of this crime and anger and so on stems from a lot of the youths lacking that ability to reason and debate and discuss things without resorting to crime and violence. So in my wrap up, basically, I know I've said a mouthful, but give thanks to everybody and give thanks for the opportunity, Banky, to be on the program. And, one love everybody, guidance and detection.
All right, give thanks for all those who tuning in. And before we go on, just play this advertisement here. Remember, tomorrow will be strategies for businesses, hosted by Danny Atherton, which is a beautiful show. Last week, I think he knocked all sixes. Danny wasn't batting the singles, wasting time. Danny just staying right in the crease and just knocking sixes. Yes. So, aside for the one, the batsman down there, and they didn't get a time to move, because Danny just just win the game by himself. So, it was a beautiful show. So, before we go, just want to play this clip to remind those that strategies for business will be up on tomorrow tomorrow evening for 7 p.m. So definitely tune in and listen to everything. Strategies for Business with Danny Atherton.
Business owners and entrepreneurs, don't miss this week's edition of Strategies for Business Success right here on 2020 Vision Radio with business development advocate Daniel Arterton. Each week, Danny will build on a foundation to ensure your success in business. Being in business can be daunting, and Strategies for Business Success can help you avoid the pitfalls. Join Danny every Wednesday night at 7, right here on 2020 Vision Radio.
Yes, greatly appreciate you guys tuning in and sticking with us throughout the 2 hours and a little over 2 hours. Usually give you all extra as usual. So hope you all enjoyed the show this evening, and definitely next week we'll be back with the next show and with a different guest and continue the discussion forward. But want to encourage those who've been having the little garden projects going on and those who are thinking about it, just get in contact with the agriculture department. And also remember the third week in March is the agricultural open day. The expo will be at the park. I myself will be taking part with my cannabis section. You can come get your trees and learn a lot on the educational part, talking about the pest and disease and all this, and management of the plant itself also. And also, as Sankovas will be taking part in the Kaya farm at Gideon Force Farm over in Old Road. So definitely looking your herb trees and stuff like that. You just contact Shabazz Organics and you go from there. 662-7196, and it's also the sponsor for the Everything Agriculture Show. So Yason, Sankofa, Bora, enough respect, greatly appreciate you guys tuning in. And for folks, from next week, we have our next discussion with a guest in studio, and we continue. So Yason, Sankofa,
yeah, man,
Bora,
Sankofa,
enough respect.
Bora,
Yes,
enough respect, man. The contributions, wonderful.
Great.
Enough respect.
Guy, bless.
Orange Enterprises, located at Prospect Industrial Site in Nevis, your first stop for those burdensome jobs such as sewage pumping, grease trap pumping and maintenance. We cater for the major hotels, to the restaurants,